architect N. Benju Singh to come forth and do the honors. Thank you, sir. Now, to welcome everyone present here today and to highlight a few key points, I request our own architect Nomaikapa Michael Singh, Joint Secretary, Manipur Architects Forum, to give the welcome address.
Good morning, one and all. First of all, I would like to greet everyone. Happy World Architecture Day. So, in this auspicious moment, ngasigi chief guest ki famang landa pambiriba Honorable Minister Mingwena Panjarabada Sri Y. Kemchan, Mahut and RD and PR Manipur Chief Guest Pu Taram Nokcheri, Honorable MLA Mingwena Panjarabada Sri Mayang Lambam Rameshwar Singh Kakching AC Guest of Honor Bu Taram Nokcheri, Architect Anna Arambam IAS, Joint Secretary Finance DP ACR and Director Institutional Finance Government of Manipur Busu Taram Nokcheri, and I welcome Sri Deepak Kumar, Administrative Officer, Legal and Act Enforcement Council of Architecture, India, and last but not the least, I welcome President of Manipur Architect Forum, Mingwena Panjarabada Architect Aribam Joy Chandra Sarma Busu. Welcome Tawzari. Aduga ngasi gigay faraba World Architecture Day celebrate tawbasida tinbiriba architects sing invitees, press, media, function asibu mai paknaba honabibada tawdang lobiriba punamukpu amukahanna welcome Tawzari. Honorable Minister na function asida lengsin birak pasigi khudong chaba logjaraga ay apple ani khatang tawja hoge ahan ba apple di Manipur da online building permission system OBPS harga khangnaba si follow torak ba asida sida registered tawgadaba architect sing asi permanent resident certificate paidaba haibadu yengsin biraga yai yade haibadu amuktang yengsin jahaningi adagi anisuba apple dana state government is requested either to engage registered architect and architectural firms only, registered toba architect amadi architectural firm khatada engage tobi yu haina state government the request tawzari apple tawzari si haraga punamapu amuka hanna welcome tawzaraga Manipur Architect Forum gi represent tawzaraga secretary aina welcome amuka hanna tawzari. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Michael. Now we have the section where we launched the book Manual of Architectural Practice. This book is published by the Council of Architecture and is launched in different parts of the country as a part of Council's outreach initiative to mark the Golden Jubilee Year celebrations of enactment of the Architects Act 1972. I request our chief guest of honors, and president to do the honor. And to join them on dais, I humbly request Architect N. Git Kumar Singh, Architect B. Krishna Kumar Sharma, Architect Imo Haubam, Architect Bankim Chandra Singh, Architect N. Benju Singh, and Architect T.H. Rajeshwar Singh to join them on dais. Makada tham. Now, to give an insight of the book just launched, Manual of Architectural Practice, I request Shri Deepak Kumar to kindly give a brief about the book.
Thank you. Respected Honorable Minister Housing and Urban Development, Shri Y. Shyam Honorable MLA, Shri Rameshwar Singh Ji, Architect Anna Arambam Ji, Joint Secretary, Government of Manipur, Architect Aribam Sharma, President, Manipur Architects Forum, and dignitaries of the dais and architects and friends. I am Deepak Kumar, Law Officer, Council of Architecture, working in this field from last 25 years. I am extremely thankful to the Manipur Architects Forum for inviting me in this important workshop on launch of Manual of Architectural Practice and protection of title and style of architect. Today we are celebrating World Architecture Day. Yesterday we celebrated Gandhi Jayanti, and tomorrow we are having Ramnavami and Dashera. I quote Sri Ravi Shankar Ji, everything in this creation is a sign of celebration. And I add, celebration is a way of life in our country. Now I introduce the manual. What is the manual about is? This manual is a complete code about architecture profession, how the profession emerged, who is an architect, and laws regulating architects. It describes in detail the procedure for selection of architect, their appointment, types of contracts we have for architectural services, and methods of payment of fees and how to calculate their fees, and what are all deliverables we can expect from an architect. Pre-construction stage and post-construction stage. It also guides and advises architects about management of their firms, their offices, and provide reference to important documents which are required for their architectural practice. The manual also explains how to file a complaint against an architect if there is a misconduct on the part of an architect. It also gives insights on the various documents which are required for like building bylaws and all, which an architect must know. The manual is meant for all, whether it is general public, whether architects, whether bureaucrats, whether politicians, it is for all. And it gives insight into the various procedures, guidelines which an architect must know for carrying out his practice. It also guides an architectural institution about the knowledge which they must impart to an architect, to a student of architecture institution, and a student will also come to know how he has to go and face the challenge in the world after completing his education. Thank you. This is all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. As the day itself is a celebration of architects and their achievements, it is my utmost pride and pleasure to congratulate Architect N. Kumar Singh on nomination as the core committee member of the high-level committee of reputed urban planners, urban economists, and institutions by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India, and as member of Planning and Development Authority by Government of Manipur. To felicitate him, I request our chief guest, Shri Y. Khemchand Singh, Honorable Minister, to please do the honor. And I request Sir Architect N. Kumar Singh to come on dais. Congratulations, sir. And also, I take this opportunity to congratulate Architect A. Joy Chandra Sharma on conferring Kala Bhushan by Manipur Sahitya Prasad. Congratulations, sir. And to felicitate him, I request our guest of honor, Shri M. Rameshwar Singh, Honorable MLA Kaching AC, to do the honors. And I request architect A. Joy Chandra Singh to come up on dais. Thank you, sir, and congratulations, sir. Now, to address the crowd gathered here today, I request our guest of honor, Shri M. Rameshwar Singh, Honorable MLA, Kakching AC, to kindly take the mic.
A very good morning to all of you. I'm really happy to be today here amongst all of you on such a special day. And first of all, I would like to honor our Honorable Minister Tamo Khemchandji, Minister Mahut and Rural Development and Panchayati Raj. I would also like to welcome and thank Sri Deepak Kumar, Administrative Officer, Legal and Enforcement Council of Architecture, India, for taking out his valuable time to be amongst us and educate us on the rules and regulations of the Council of Architects of India. I would like to also express my gratitude and honor Architect Anna Ramam IAS, Joint Secretary Finance, DP ACR, Director Institutional Finance, Government of Manipur, for being present on today's occasion. Last but not the least, Architect Aribam Joy Chandra Sharma ji, who is the President of Manipur Architects Forum. I convey my regards, and above all the aspirant architects and established architects of Manipur who are present here, who has set records straight and brought a name for the state of Manipur and for India. Without going, with the permission of the chair, without going much in detail what is an architect, I would like to emphasize the role and the significance of architects in olden times and in contemporary times. Today, architects are people who are indispensable in the civilization and the planning of the future, because our emotions in the space are defined and designed by the architects. They are the people who should develop designs and specifications that define the emotions of the people, what the people want. As I always say that the duty of an architect is not just designing a building, but when you go inside the structure should speak to you. The structure should have an emotion. The moment I walk into a structure, I should feel why that structure has been built. That is the most important and emotional component that needs to be integrated in every design of an architect. Today, as an architect of the state, Honorable Chief Minister Shri N. Biren Singh, Tamo Khemchandji, Honorable Minister, what I appreciate and why I enjoy working under them is they approach every problem with a human touch. Because if you really look at in today's world, everything is human related. Everything surrounds and centers around human life. So when we design or when we plan anything, it has to center around the utility to the human beings. At the same time, looking at the contemporary times, that it does not create hazards to the environment, and the latest technologies used so that lighting and airflow is integrated to the maximum advantage, so a person who's staying or coming inside the structure feels and gets the best natural surroundings. The role of architects, not only in India, in all over the world, is known to all of us. Today, my request to the intellectuals, the professionals, are that we are taking Manipur ahead in these competitive times under the leadership of Honorable Chief Minister N. Biren Singh, Honorable Minister Shri Y. Khemchan Singh Ji. We have to be doubly sure that our designs, building bylaws, and anything to do with shaping of the future of Manipur are foolproofed, and it is completely based on the requirement and the demand of the common man. In this, I would like to put forward some of the experiences. I am very close to the architects and the engineers because as a project management consultant and advisor to many state governments, including Punjab, Goa, and the northeastern states, since 2009, I have been working along with Tamogit Kumar Nepram here, with whom we have presented many projects of the northeastern region in the Central Sanctioning Committee of Government of India, and we have been able to a large extent, even amend the policies generically made by the Government of India. The mistake with the administrators and policymakers in Delhi is that they assume that they will make a general policy which should be followed by every state. But the fact is that the ground conditions are completely different for the northeastern region. In 2011-12, during the Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission, during the implementation of the housing for all, during many Central Sanctioning Committee meetings, Tamogit Kumar and myself had taken up some major issues which are, blockades to the actual effective implementation of housing projects. One was that when you develop a slum, you are trying to construct houses, housing facilities for people in a common place, considering that they are slum dwellers. But whereas in northeastern states, we all have our hereditary land. We do not like to go to a common place and live there and show to the world that we belong to the poor category. We want that our houses should be built in our hereditary land. So we say that this construction of slum houses in a common place and people coming from all different localities and living in a particular area under a project is not feasible for Northeast and for Manipur and all. After our constant bidding, the Government of India came up with a new concept called in situ project, which is constructing the house in the place of the beneficiary, in the land of the beneficiary, in their houses. And that new scheme came, so Tamogit Kumar has played a major role in that. Second was that in terms of costing, today a cement bag is costing 250 rupees in Delhi, but it may cost 500 rupees in Manipur. So how can you generalize that for a housing project, the cost should be 2.5 lakhs all over India? It cannot be same. After our constant bidding again, we were able to get 3.5 to 4 lakhs for the northeastern states, whereas for the other states, 2.5 lakhs was the cost of per unit. Today, the same project, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, with the same spirit also suffers from the same drawback. And my appeal to the Honorable Minister and the Honorable Chief Minister of the state is that when they meet the Honorable Prime Minister, this point should be put forward. On one hand, we say that a person who's below poverty line is be given a house 1.5 lakhs. how can we construct a house at the cost of 1.5 lakhs, 1 bedroom, 1 common room, toilet, bathroom and kitchen? How can we construct in 1.5 lakhs? It is not possible at the cost, prevailing cost now. Then they have said that the total project cost is 2.75. Now, you are selecting a BPL as a beneficiary and you expect him to take out 1.25 lakhs. From where he's going to get it? It's impossible. So there has to be some review of the conditions, terms and conditions of the project. Again, you say that to the poor man, first you construct 60,000 worth of the structure, then we'll release the money. He is a person below BPL line, from where he'll get the 60,000 rupees. So there are certain changes, reviews that we need to do. It's not necessary that just because some people sitting there in Delhi, not knowing the ground realities here in Manipur or northeastern region, lays down some policy and we have to blindly follow. We have our fundamental right to speak up and say that if you want to make this project effective and implement it effectively on the ground, these are the norms that you have to follow northeastern region. This is my request, and Tamogit Kumar has been a very strong vocal speaker on this about the policy making for the Northeast. Without taking much time, let me come to the today's topic of protection of the title and style of architect and architectural firm. I think this is very absolutely necessary. In architecture policy and Act 1972, the Supreme Court passed a thing saying that even an architect is not registered, he can practice. That is fine. But today, when we do any government project or any project of the central government, it should be certified by a registered body or the government. Because unless and until there is a certification and there are some terms and conditions, standards are fixed, then our quality of work is not going to be controlled. We will not be able to understand exactly what is the result we're going to get. Even though Supreme Court has said, as per that section 37, 38, that anyone who's having a qualification without registration is allowed to practice. But I feel very strongly that every architect who does a government job or a job for the public should be registered. This is my opinion. Now, Manipur now, I think, needs to still immediately pass on building bylaws, building manuals. Today, in, for example, Kaching, anybody and everybody is constructing any building of any floors. There is no control. Even in Imphal, I've seen. So we are in a seismic zone. Now today, what kind of materials we should use, what kind of design we should use, up to how many floors we can go, all these things should be controlled by a government bylaws. And I request that Honorable Minister and Council of Architects, Manipur Architects Association, that we should very soon come out with the bylaws of the government, and all the urban bodies and other bodies should follow that, so that the development is planned. Here I would like to really thank Honorable Minister Mahut Tamo Khemchan and Tamogit Kumar for coming out with a landmark concept of master plan, GIS based master plan. Today it is like if you want to do a painting, first you need to have a canvas. Master plan is like having a canvas. Without having a canvas, you cannot do the painting. You need to have a canvas, master plan. Like in a locality, which area should be residential area, which should be industrial area, which should be market, official area. All these should be defined, taking in mind the next 20-25 years population growth. We should plan that. If we don't have a master plan, then when the growth becomes haphazard, the planning for the utility systems like water supply, power supply, any other utility system becomes haywire, and after some time it will be very difficult for us to control the growth and make it, a planned growth for the town. So with these few words, I would like to once again thank Manipur Council of Architects, Tamo Khemchan, Honorable Minister, and above all, Tamogit Kumar, whom we are very proud of. I have been present with him in many central government Central Sanctioning Committee meetings, and I have seen his performance. He is one of the stars in this field in India, and even in abroad, everybody knows him. We need to encourage new talents among the professionals. The question of jealousy should not be there. We should hold each other's hand, try and promote each other. And the huge room where I can help is that public sector undertakings, central government undertakings, they are doing a lot of tendering. They need a lot of architects. They need a lot of professionals to do our designs, to prepare the DPR, to get into the detailed working of a project along with civil engineers. Now, it is high time. All the projects that are being implemented in Manipur, we should have a role to play there. Who can know better than our local architects and engineers how to design and how to implement a project in Manipur? Then who all are doing it from Delhi? They will come here without understanding ultimately what they do the project, and then again they locally hire, which is costing double again. So it's high time we start getting organized ourselves professionally and start playing a major role in the future of Manipur. With these few words, I would like to thank all of you once again. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your insights and highlighting the issues and need of the hour. Next, I would like to request our guest of honor, Architect Anna Arambam, IAS, Joint Secretary, Finance DP ACR, Government of Manipur, to kindly address the crowd.
A very good morning to everyone. Good morning to Sir Y. Khemchand Singh, Honorable Minister Mahood, RDPR, Manipur, Sir Mayanglambam Rameshwar Singh, Honorable MLA Kakching AC, Shri Deepak Kumar, Administrative Officer, Legal and Act Enforcement, Council of Architecture, India, Architect Aribam Joy Chandra Sharma, President, Manipur Architects Forum, and everyone present here today. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Manipur Architects Forum for having me here today. It is really an honor to be present here amongst architects after a very long time. And I think I'm going to preserve this invitation because this is the first time that I'm seeing an architect before my name. I passed out from Sir J.J. College of Architecture, but and I have also registered myself with the Council of Architecture. And I have never been really been able to practice here because I have changed my profession. I have been in the civil services for the last 15 years. I joined in 2007 as an MCS officer, and I've been promoted to IS now, so I'm an IS officer. So to see this word architect in front of my name is kind of nostalgic also because anyway, thank you so much for having me here today. I don't have to, I mean, I'm not an, since I don't practice, I'm sure all of you all know much more than me in when it comes to architecture. But Sir Rameshwar has raised some very important issues, which I also feel very strongly about. The need to have a planned development of any place, including Imphal. The need to have proper bylaws. The need to have stricter laws so that people that have a set building, like people are building houses anywhere and everywhere. And if you look at Imphal city with from a drone, it's not a very pleasant pleasant sight. We have a set development everywhere. We have incomplete housing everywhere. So those kind of things, if of course from the government side also, and Sir Khemchand is here today, Honorable Minister Mahood, he's the most appropriate person to look into this matter. So I'm really glad that he's also here with us today. Other issues like the theme for today, protection of title and style of architect and architectural firm. I think a very important issue that has also been raised, it has been mentioned, is that when we take up any works for the government, nowadays even architects, like we need to properly ensure that if any architectural work needs to be done, like that they are qualified. And although already mentioned by Sir Rameshwar that registration is not required, some sort of some checking, some certification That will help in going a long way. In most of our government buildings, we often notice that we just look at the functionality. We don't really look at the aesthetics. When we go to other states, for example, just very nearby, if you see Nagaland also, most of their government buildings are very aesthetically designed, which I feel is lacking in our state. So I think, and it's good to see the Manipur Architects Forum being active now. When I had just passed out, I don't know whether this forum was there or not, but it's good that it's being active now. So these kind of things, if collectively, both from the government side and from the Architects Forum side, if we can look into it, I think we can have much better buildings which work functionally also and which is pleasant to look at. And this, if we have a proper plan, this habit of having we build one building and then later on realize that we need another building, and we keep on adding haphazardly. These kind of things, I know that it's not possible only from the Architects Forum side, from government side also, that coordination is needed. So I hope that although right now I'm in a department which is totally not related to architecture, I hope that I will be able to help in some way over my career. So that is all. Thank you so much, and I hope we'll have a fruitful discussion from the experts here today. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, I would like to request our chief guest, Shri Y. Khemchan Singh, Honorable Minister Mahood, and RDNPR to kindly address the crowd.
Good morning. Ngasigi function sigi dai zangjin bidiba Sri Maying Langum Rameswar Singh, Honorable MLA, Kaksing SC, Sri Anarambam IS, Joint Secretary, Finance DP ACR, Director, Institute Finance, Government Manipur, Sri Deepak Kumar, Administrative Officer, Legal and Enforcement, Council of Architecture India, Sri Aribam Joy Chandra Sharma, President, Manipur Architects Forum, Amadi Mang the Lincoln Biribi, Kutima Boynika Kunuchari, Dona Prinamadi, electronic media housing, Kunuchari. Say, what are the duty of architect to the pavilion and Kanga in Santo Hydagasu from the profession in a profession within the city? But Karimkanda government department coordination di darkar lakpa sum yagumale samna ising main road ising thumakanda kogi PWD na lambi thongale but ising do sen ginaba poti kesu thedo khanade man lambi thongala kanda thangnaba yumdong thumdorini then drainage kana na paige mo haira kanda mauna paibre na mahuta mu hangi tawasi mahunong paramdre. Then water resource the pipe right and water resource paramdre. So somewhere something is wrong in our concept. And si punna on top in the bum sang in some times again. Loina samna Pajabayum Pajabalekai Pajaba society I say architects singi Achoba Daitamani Kanjaragasu. I could put again Tamina Dagadi the Mole Haitare down. Samna example masang kubizage 91 day thaum le siol da sanabagi dai ge samina wangang sama departmental store am de support lega mai makudu fregaw da ha pura chale but nearest dustbin of the thade ado akhoi gi di bazar nu khangte legai khangte puksai chai bini dawrije adi sense of responsibility je koi da until less si akhoi recover to di di koi gi architects na Pajama Potogasu Mola Numi Mayam, the Mola Lin Masi, a quick put a Naminasi, the say, Quiggy Kadona Secretary na Michael Langvidamado, Piggy online registration gate. We forum the Natraga registered when we were neither with Tamo Agaga, somebody Sanazar, please draw me a letter, and do accordingly the Atumatam da Sino Egado Nedo. Tanarakan Tausi Hira, Itam Jarakanda, Panamu Takasay, Zain.
Thank you, sir. Now, may I request our President, Architect A. Joy Chandra Sharma, President Manipur Architects Forum, to kindly say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. Duga ngasi ki dai jalingsin miriba Shri Y. Kim Chan Singh is a chief guest, Honorable Minister Mahood and the RD and the PR Manipur, and the Shri Mayang Lambam Rameshwar Singh, Honorable MLA, Kaksing AC, Architect Anna Rambam IAS, Joint Secretary, Finance DP, ACR, Director, Institutional Finance. Amadi, Shri Deepak Kumar Singh. Of course, I thank Shri Deepak Kumar Singh coming all the way from Delhi to Impal and sharing with us this August function. And I thank Shri Habib Khan also, President Council of Architecture, so for messaging such a beautiful with the words. Nasi koigi yamna nungaiba ma phawe koigi maroina koigi Honorable MLA Mayang Rameshwar Singh koigi hana aina magi gunji khangjadabana adu masi yamna sarsi yamna deserve oiba aidi architectural oiba ante architect oiba knowledge engineering ki oiba knowledge se asuki matik laikre aduna sar gumba ngata Manipur ki Praja Mayam Singh Oibiram Gadi Muhena Yamna Nungaigani, I.T. Paktaknana, the humanities Gimaramda Natraga, anything you are very deserved person, and Yamnungai, Kogi Sargi, Kogi Space Mayam to Kogi Tabada, Kogi Yamna Pung Loxing Oiningai Oi, Aduna Sardona, Kogi Manipurgi Miamsu, Kogi. Isam jamna architectural gi natrak engineering knowledge se leibiragadi amkaina Manipur se yamna saukhatpa adi phidam ningai oiba ama oirakani hai thase mathangda khoigi architect ena arambam su architect oi haibeti ai kuina tajare khoigi father su ai adum khangna jarami aduga yam nungai khoigi architect ki khoigi kan philas da koi architect na sinjariba program asida ngasi yawbirakna tawbiriba digi akoi gu pun thogot piba punamuksi yam nungai aduga su isa dudi architect oibanina koi ki sinpham profession budi manadre hojik di IS koi government ke kanoda leirabanina aduga su matang saba nataga architect ki oiba function da koi dum baton tawjarki aduga Isana su architect oibanina koi city asi phajana planning tawba matam nataga koi any construction khangde ama khangde any related architectural work ta koi sarkar gi makai ta gi su tanja phangaga di adumba posama paibirakpa nataga suggestion na singba paibiragadi yamna koi yamna nungai gani aduga aroibeda koi Sigi Sri Y. Kim Chan Singh Nasu Kwigi online building permission Asida Kwigi restart Togodoba architect or engineer Sing architect Sing Si Kwaikaramba Makalgi Mina Togodagi Highway Manipur Laiba architect Sing Sitana Oigadra Nataka Mapandagi Lakpa Mapangi Misu Kwigi register Toroga Manipur da Kwigi drawing Yaktana online building permission as a work to Vayagadra Highway question sini Adubu Sahana Tapivata Quina Apamba Kwigi criteria do Ibiraga Kwigi my city when a Tabiraga Kwigi Marie Lane was in the Hijagi Haidana Yana Tapire. Thank you. Aduga Asigi World Architecture, the Asiga Marie Lane, Kwigi protection of title and the style of architect and the architecture from Haivagi Kwigi topic shida Kwigi book launch Kwigi Tawiduna Kwigi Deepak Kumar na Yamna Marik Chumba Wangang Karsu Nangbi Kreaduga Masigi Akwina manual of architecture practice Hariba Podasina Kwigi architecting da Yamna Suki Matik Kanaba Ma Oigadoini ꯑꯗꯨꯕꯨ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏ ꯂꯥꯏꯔꯤꯛ ꯑꯁꯤ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯒꯤ ꯄꯥꯔꯒ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯅ ꯈꯪꯒꯅꯤ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯒꯤ ꯍꯥꯟꯅ ꯂꯩꯕ ꯑꯥꯔꯀꯤꯇꯦꯛꯆꯔꯦꯜ ꯕꯨꯛ ꯒꯥꯏꯗ ꯃꯦꯅꯨꯑꯦꯜꯁꯤꯡ ꯑꯗꯨꯗꯒꯤ ꯀꯔꯤ ꯑꯍꯦꯟꯕ ꯌꯥꯎꯕꯒꯤ ꯑꯅꯧꯕ꯭ꯔꯥ ꯇꯣꯞ ꯇꯣꯞꯄ꯭ꯔꯥ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯗꯨ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯒꯤ ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯛꯇꯤ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏ ꯈꯨꯠꯇ ꯂꯥꯏꯔꯤꯛ ꯑꯁꯤ ꯂꯩꯔꯕꯅꯤꯅ ꯃꯁꯤ ꯄꯥꯔꯒ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯅ ꯅꯩꯅꯔꯒ ꯑꯥꯔꯀꯤꯇꯦꯛꯁꯤꯡꯒꯤ ꯑꯣꯏꯕ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯒꯤ ꯆꯥꯎꯈꯠ ꯈꯣꯡꯊꯥꯡꯗ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯒꯤ ꯉꯁꯤ ꯂꯣꯟꯆ ꯇꯧꯕꯤꯔꯤꯕ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯒꯤ ꯃꯦꯅꯨꯑꯦꯜ ꯑꯁꯤꯅ ꯑꯁꯨꯛꯀꯤ ꯃꯇꯤꯛ ꯀꯥꯟꯅꯕ ꯐꯪꯒꯗ꯭ꯔꯥ ꯍꯥꯏꯅ ꯈꯟꯖꯩ ꯑꯗꯣ ꯑꯩ ꯌꯥꯝ ꯁꯥꯡꯅ ꯉꯥꯡꯖꯔꯔꯣꯏ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯒꯤ ꯃꯈꯥꯗ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯒꯤ ꯁꯦꯀꯦꯟ ꯁꯦꯁꯟꯗ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯒꯤ ꯑꯆꯧꯕ ꯈꯟꯅ ꯅꯩꯅꯕꯒꯤ ꯑꯃꯁꯨ ꯂꯩꯕꯅꯤꯅ ꯑꯗꯨꯅ ꯑꯁꯤꯒꯤꯗꯃꯛꯇꯗꯤ ꯉꯁꯤꯒꯤ ꯃꯇꯥꯡ ꯑꯁꯤꯗꯤ ꯑꯩꯒꯤ ꯋꯥꯉꯥꯡ ꯑꯁꯤ ꯇꯦꯟꯁꯤꯟꯖꯒꯦ.
Thank you, sir. Taking this opportunity, I would like to read out a message written by architect Habib Khan, President, Council of Architecture. He writes that he is very pleased to know that Manipur Architects Forum is organizing a one-day workshop on the theme Protection of Style and Protection of the Title and Style of Architect and Architectural Firm on Monday, 3rd October 2022, also celebrated as World Architecture Day at Imphal. He congratulates all the office bearers and members of the forum for this wonderful initiative to spread awareness on various legal and professional issues among architectural fraternity. He also assured us full cooperation and support from Council in our endeavors for better of the architectural education and profession in public interest. He writes that the Council has recently come out with the Manual of Architectural Practice, and the same is being launched in different parts of the country as part of the Council's outreach initiative and also to mark Golden Jubilee Year celebrations of enactment of the Architects Act 1972. He conveys his wishes and best compliments for successful conduct of this workshop. So that was the message that we got from President Council of Architecture, Architect Habib Khan. And with that, I would like to request Architect Vijay Lakshmi Sapam, Treasurer, Manipur Architects Forum, to kindly thank everyone who's been involved and been present here for this celebration.
Now that we have come to an end, I, Vidya Lakshmi Sapam, on behalf of Manipur Architect Forum, is deemed a great honor and privilege to propose the word of thanks on this memorable occasion. First of all and foremost, the MAF thanks our Chief Guest, Shri Y. Khemchand Singh, Honorable Minister Mahod and RD and PR Manipur for appealing and all the responsible officials to cooperate and work together. I also thank Shri Mayanglambam Rameshwar Singh for sharing the thought that there should be a human touch in all the projects. It is, after all, for us human beings only. I also express thanks to Architect Anna Arambam, IAS, Joint Secretary Finance, DP, ACR, and Director, Institutional Finance, Government of Manipur, for understanding and motivating us to work towards aesthetic also. The MAF is also grateful to Deepak Kumar, Administrative Official, Legal and Act Enforcement, Council of Architecture, India. I also thank our well-wishers, President MAF Architect Aribam Joy Chandra Sharma, for uniting us all together. My heartfelt thanks to Department of Planning Department for providing us the space. I also thank all the distinguished invitees present here today. I also thank the member of print and media for evincing interest in convincing and coming to the event, and all the good heart who works behind the scene. Finally, I leave you to this inspiring quote by Mahatma Gandhi: "The future depends on what you do today." Thank you and happy World Architecture Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Vidya Lakshmi. Now this marks the conclusion of our inaugural session. We will be having a short tea break, after which the technical session on protection of title and style of architect and architectural firm will commence. So I request everyone to head out for the tea break and be back here after that. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Kalak lure aina nungsiraba lainamsu liri liri humliba malang manapurani nanggi nungsiraba lainamsu kabalayo lainungsi pamubini ay haki kabalayo lainungsi pamubini ay haki yeng liba mit yeng thang liba khúc thang nộp liba mai thu Fivam khajik sem laga nangi misna anina nung sila yeng lam laga tiek na nau na chien khima oh fivam khajik sem laga nangi misna anina nung sila yeng lam laga tiek na nau na chien khima pa khat say le sina mi hậu trao ba ôi ru ba na pa khăn dây lê tha môi sina mi hậu trao ba ôi ru ba na yeng đi ba nít yeng thang đi ba không thang nộp đi ba mãi thùng đô kalak lure aina nung sirure hajanam bu kalak lure aina nung sirure hajanam bu yek diva mit yek thang diva không thang nộp diva mai thùng đô nộp diva mai mapuka insin bire nung nahale nung sinaw ay na oh tinarare nang ay mapuka insin bire nung nahale nung sinaw ay na amoy na kanjay nang si ay gihigam bani ya jabani ay na nangbu ay giyoy jaba oh tinarare nung sinare nang ay mapuka insipire nung nahale nung sinaw ay na machulang na ado ko ay di tawa ꯌꯦꯡꯒꯦ ꯅꯪꯒꯤ ꯃꯤꯅꯣꯛ ꯈꯨꯗꯤꯡ ꯑꯩꯒꯤ ꯑꯣꯏꯒꯅꯤ 이나ꯛꯇ ꯂꯩꯌꯨ ꯂꯦꯡꯗꯅ ꯂꯩꯌꯨ ꯑꯋꯥ ꯅꯨꯡꯉꯥꯏ ꯄꯨꯝꯕ ꯅꯪꯅ ꯀꯥꯎꯍꯜꯂꯤ ꯊꯥꯗꯣꯛꯂꯣꯏ ꯑꯩꯒꯤ ꯊꯋꯥꯏꯗ ꯂꯩꯔꯤꯉꯩ ꯄꯤꯒꯅꯤ ꯑꯩꯅ ꯅꯉꯣꯟꯗ ꯅꯪꯒꯤ ꯑꯄꯥꯝꯕꯊꯥꯗꯣꯛꯂꯣꯏ ꯑꯩꯒꯤ ꯊꯋꯥꯏꯗ ꯂꯩꯔꯤꯉꯩ ꯄꯤꯒꯅꯤ ꯑꯩꯅ ꯅꯉꯣꯟꯗ ꯅꯪꯒꯤ ꯑꯄꯥꯝꯕ ꯊꯦꯡꯅꯔꯦ ꯎꯅꯔꯦ ꯅꯪ ꯑꯩ ꯃꯄꯣꯛꯇ 인신들의 통나할래 녹시나운 아이는 아무이는 단죄 단세 애기 힘나버니 야저버니 아이는 당부 애기 오이저버 아무이는 단죄 단세 애기 힘나버니 야저버니 아이는 당부 애기 오이저버 눈심이 난이 마이통새 레이라 탐발리 하이르게 레이라 탐발리 하이르게 난기 코이 봐 난기 코이 봐 난기 무라 삼란두나 아방바 농호 남자비니 하이르게 아방바 농호 남자비니 하이르게 눈심이 난기 마이통새 레이라 탐발리 하이르게 레이라 탐발리 하이르게 Yengmi makaina hakse pin banaidare shumhatire nangi duksi shaktam duna Yengmi makaina hakse pin banaidare shumhatire nangi duksi shaktam duna Kiri makai ipanta pansabini Kiri makai ipanta pansabini Nauhandire aigi thamoi leita handare Nauhandire aigi thamoi leita handare Nungsibi nangi chinbalna Leira gulabni hairage Oh leira gulabni hairage ꯂꯛꯇꯒꯤ ꯍꯦꯟꯅ ꯅꯤꯡꯊꯤꯔꯤ ꯅꯪꯒꯤ ꯁꯛꯇꯝꯅꯤ ꯊꯥꯖꯗꯕ ꯂꯤꯁꯤꯡ ꯂꯛꯇꯒꯤ ꯍꯦꯟꯅ ꯅꯤꯡꯊꯤꯔꯤ ꯅꯪꯒꯤ ꯁꯛꯇꯝꯅꯤ ꯏꯉꯥꯒꯤ ꯅꯣꯡꯍꯧꯅ ꯏꯀꯥꯏꯖꯕꯤꯅꯤ ꯏꯉꯥꯒꯤ shajimidani hairage nangi koi ba nangi koi ba nangi mura samlanduna amang balong ho ngamjabini hairage amang balong ho ngamjabini hairage amang balong ho ngamjabini hairage amang balong ho ngamjabini Puno kurumjari. Thank you very much.
Hãy subscribe
Deepak Kumar, Administrative Officer, Legal and Act Enforcement Council of Architecture, Ministry of Education, India. Before we start with the technical session, I would like to request Architect A. Joychandra Sharma, President, Manipur Architects Forum, to kindly felicitate our moderator, Dr. C.H. Priyoranjan Singh, Professor and Head of Economics Department, Manipur University. Oh, so please take the dais. Thank you, sir. Now I would like to hand over the mic to our moderator, Dr. C.H. Priyoranjan Singh, to start off with the technical session.
Hello. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. To be honest, I'm not an expert. I'm an economist. But somehow, my friend Kit Kumar was able to persuade me to be amongst you and to moderate the talk, a very important talk by our guest here, Mr. Deepak Kumar. Now, just to introduce ourselves to what really we should be addressing. You see, after my friend Git Kumar told me, come on, you just have to moderate and try to reach the pulse of the people, people of Manipur who want to build houses and what should be their concerns. Yesterday night, I was just going through this Architects Act and all that, just cursorily. And when I looked at the Supreme Court's ruling, I suddenly realized that there's a lot of problem in understanding the profession of the architects in the Indian context. At least personally, the court has its own idea, but I personally felt, that the responsibility of the architect has been somehow, in so many ways, diluted to an extent where, many fly-by-night people, are taking the responsibility of building houses, buildings, constructions, whatever, I felt a little uneasy, that our act, I don't know how it identifies with India's context. With that, let us listen to Mr. Deepak Kumar, Administrative Officer. He will be talking about who is an architect, what will be the norms or practices that we have to follow as architects, what are the ethical and moral principles that we should follow, which we know, at least in Manipur, much of the ethical and moral parts are missing, probably because of what I hinted at, when you don't give the specialist the responsibility, many foul things can happen. And I'm sure Mr. Deepak Kumar is going to deal with these nuances, where in Manipur, as you know, even the builder, I mean what we call the Boromistry, he has become an architect. And we have seen a very, I should say, sometimes I would say it is even criminal that pure civil engineers, acting like architects. Can you imagine my university? The type of boxes that you see as university buildings. Someone was telling us how we are missing the aesthetics, the character in our university or in any government building. These are results of unscrupulous people taking advantage of our architects' act, whatever. I leave it to Mr. Dupak Kumar to go not only into the basic rules or practices, but into the nuances, that has reduced architects to, not on equal terms like advocates or medical practitioners, And I'm sure he will do justice to that. Mr. Deepak, please take the mic.
Thank you so much, and welcome back to this second session on the Architects Act and all nuances related to the practice of architecture. Architects Act was enacted by the Parliament of India under NT 66 List 1 as well as NT 26 of List 3 concurrent list of the 7th Schedule of Constitution of India. It came into force on the 1st September 1972. And we are celebrating Golden Jubilee year of enactment of our Act in this year. The Council came into existence on 31st December 1973. This is the Act and the notifications which were issued by the Government of India about the Architects Act. The objects and purposes of the Architects Act. It is on twin, one is education, another is related to education. The first, I will deal with education to prescribe a schedule of recognized qualifications, which a person, if he possesses that qualification, he becomes an architect. The council will decide a person who can seek admission in architecture course, to inspect architectural institutions, to recommend recognition of an unrecognized Indian or foreign qualification, to prescribe minimum standards of architectural education for imparting recognized qualification, duration of course of studies and all that. And if a qualification is not meeting the norms, then council should recommend de-recognition of such a qualification. Now the profession, who is an architect? A person who is registered with the Council of Architecture is an architect. There is no definition of the word architecture and like other act, like legal, medicine, where it is given that a person who practices medicine is an architect. Here merely registration as an architect have been given as a definition of the architect. And the act say that only a person registered as an architect practices as an architect. So the issue here is, one is practicing as an architect and another is practicing architecture. The act has been basically there is a lacuna about practice of architecture. Practicing as an architect is there, the restriction is there, but practicing architecture as a whole, it is not there. The act only says a person who is registered with the Council of Architecture is an architect. It doesn't say only he can practice as an architect. Stop on re-registration of architects by different local bodies. A person who is registered as an architect is not required to get himself or herself registered with any local body. It is an all India registration. We have medical council, bar council who have state offices. So a Council of Architecture is only having a national office and there is no state-wise councils. Prescription of code of conduct and ethics for architects for practicing the profession and punishment for violation of code of conduct. The council has prescribed a code of conduct and ethics for architects and all architects have to adhere to that. Then prohibition on use of title and style of architect. This is the main theme of our workshop today. The act says any person who is registered as an architect can only use the title and style of architect or a partnership form. Form means where all partners are registered architects. And there is a penalty or fine for misrepresentation because it is a punishable offense. Only registered architects shall be appointed in central, state government, local and other bodies which are funded by central or other governments on architectural posts. Then registration of architects. We have a register of architects where names and address of all registered architects are there. Then the functions of council to recommend the recognition or recognition of qualification. Then inspections of architectural institution. We are conducting national aptitude tests in architecture to assess the eligibility of a candidate for admission to architecture course. We are also publishing a directory which is having details of all registered architect in a handbook which contains all the rules, regulations, important judgments, circulars relating to architects. We have a magazine, Architecture Times, Space and People, which is having news and events related to council and other important events. The council also indulges in arbitration, training of architects. We also give awards to students for thesis, excellence in thesis, essay writing competition, documentation of architectural heritage. We have other publications like journals and other documents. We have entered into MOUs with BE, GRIHA, SEPC, IGBC for furthering the objects of the Architects Act. We are also conducting architectural design competitions. Recently, we have concluded 2 competitions for NHAI for bus shelters to be replicated all over India and also for intermodal station at Katra, Jammu. Practice of architecture in India. Registration as an architect is mandatory for a person to become an architect. Only an architect registered with the council or a firm can use the title and style of architect in India. Foreign architects can only work as a consultant or designer with an Indian architect after approval of central government for a specific project. Suppose if a person doesn't want to get himself registered with the council because he doesn't fulfill the requirement of the qualification and there is a residency requirement. You must be resident in India for 182 days. If you don't have those qualifications and if a foreigner has to come, there is a specific project, a specialized project where a foreigner architect has to come, then he can work as a consultant or designer with an Indian architect. But he will not use the word architect with his designs and drawings because you will only be a consultant or designer. This is, I've already said, registration with each and every local body in India not required. In case of sole partnership, no registration of office is required, but in case of partnership firm, registration is required with registrar of firms and all partners should be architects. LLP and companies are not allowed to use the title and style of architect. Only individual architect or a partnership firm, they are allowed. So we are recommending that LLP should be allowed because the partnership and individuals have lot more liabilities. In case of any financial outcome, then individual assets will be under question. If somebody's liability is much more, then individual property will also come into question. So if you have an LLP, then your liability is limited. Like a company, you have your liability is limited up to your shares, which is there. So LLP we are introducing and we are recommending amendment in the act. The LLP should be allowed for architects. Now I have some judgments related to practice of architecture, registration with local bodies, and role of architects in construction of buildings. The division bench of Delhi High Court and LPA number said कि registration, local bodies cannot insist further registration. Here the case was related to MCD, Municipal Corporation of Delhi, that architects registered with the Council of Architecture are not required to get themselves registered or obtain registration from any local body. This judgment was upheld by Honorable Supreme Court of India. Similar, the Calcutta High Court also said that once an architect registered with the Council of Architecture, he is under an accountability from the Council of Architecture under the Act, and he is not required to seek any registration with any local body. Similar is the judgment of Honorable Bombay High Court. Then this is on employment of architects in government departments. The Madhya Pradesh High Court, there was a non-architect who was appointed to the post of architect, and the matter was taken before the High Court, and this High Court said that only an architect who is registered with the Council of Architecture can be appointed to the post, which are carrying the word architect, assistant architect, architectural assistant, chief architect, senior architect, whatever the nomenclature of the post is. Now there was a question before Guwahati High Court whether draftsmen and all can also work on the post of architectural post, and they were saying that this architect word is required only when we do private practice, and in government department is not required. The court said The proficiency as required of one carrying the job of architect is provided, controlled and maintained by the provisions of the Act. Same standard of efficiency is required. Maybe the building activities are carried by the state or private individuals. So this is a judgment which says that yes, the person for carrying on the duties and function of architect must be an architect registered with the Council of Architecture. Now comes the Supreme Court judgment in civil appeal number so and so, where the Supreme Court said to promote an individual. This is a Mukesh Goel case, the recent judgment which we have all have been talking, where the Supreme Court said the practice of architecture can be done by any person provided he doesn't call himself an architect. The right use the word architect. Even here, the Supreme Court, what the Supreme Court appreciated is this: to promote an individual who does not possess a degree in architecture recognized by Act to a post titled architect and so, effectively violate the prohibition on use of title contained in Section 37 of the Architects Act. Since the case was related to Noida, the Honorable Supreme Court said that Noida cannot promote or recruit individuals who do not hold a degree in architecture recognized under the Architects Act to a post that uses the title or style of architect. The Honorable Supreme Court further said that we have held that Section 37 does not prohibit practice of architecture by unregistered individuals. It certainly does prohibit unregistered individuals from using the title and style of architect. Under the scheme of Act, only individuals possessing statutorily recognized minimum education qualifications can apply for registration architect. Registration as an architect under statute, this is the most important one, is thus a guarantee of possessing certain minimum education qualifications. Section 37 prohibits unregistered individuals from designating themselves or referring to themselves as architects. The consequence of this regulatory regime is that when an individual is called an architect, a reasonable person would assume that they are a registered architect under the Act and as a consequence possess the requisite educational qualifications and specialized knowledge associated with architects. This is what the Supreme Court appreciated while giving its interpretation of the Act. The Gujarat High Court in civil application number in the year 2020 said, it is clear that a firm of architect can use title if all partners are architects and not otherwise. The legislature, considering the fact that architects are engaged in profession and not in business, has enacted the Architects Act with a view to maintain standards of architects and to protect the dignity of architects. The Act was enacted at a time when everybody was calling themselves as architect, whether they were draftsmen or not, whatever the qualification is. So the object behind the enactment of the Act was to protect the general public from unqualified and underqualified people so that they do not bring disrepute to the profession of architecture. Then again the Supreme Court said, the High Court said, considering various aspects, it is clear that function of architects and civil engineers cannot be same. So this is an important recognition that both are different individuals, both possess different skills and different qualifications. Here is there is a case of Supreme Court only. It says an architect plays an important role in execution of building contract. We are discussing the role of architect in construction of buildings. The Honorable Supreme Court extracted Hudson's building and engineering contracts and said an architect is a person who possesses skill in architect of design of buildings to meet his client's need in the organization of contractual arrangements for their construction and supervision of work and contractual administration until final completion. It is the primary and vital function of the architect to create new ideas, amenity and design, and to set down those ideas on a drawing board. The architect is the captain of the ship. So this is the wording given in the book, that architect is the captain of the ship who is responsible, accountable, and who is the sole person who is managing where the project is going on, and will be the person to whom the owner will normally look if the design failure occurs. Now becomes the amendments in the architects. What is the remedy we are doing so that architecture profession is also protected and we can restrict the non-architects from practicing architecture? In 2011, the Parliamentary Committee of Rajya Sabha, they have recommended that the committee has also taken note of the fact that there is an urgent need for bringing in comprehensive amendments in the Architects Act in line with the advancement made, especially during the recent years. The committee observed that architecture, education and profession being very specialized, there is a need for giving protection to the architects and legal liabilities. The Ministry of Human Resource Development has also constituted a committee under the chairmanship of architect Dr. J.R. Bhalla, who was founder president of the council, and that committee has found following issues. Definition of architect. They said we have to amend the definition of architect, and we have to give the definition of architectural services so that we can restrict others from carrying on architectural services. Another is registration of architects and certificate of practice. What the scheme they have proposed, there will be a registration of architects, and only those who have certificate of practice can practice. Like suppose somebody do not want to practice, so he may not seek certificate of practice. So this new concept is being proposed that we issue a certificate of practice to architects who want to practice architecture. A professional examination. Now world over professional examination is there, but in India or maybe Pakistan there are 2-3 countries where professional examination is not there. So whether you have done your degree from XYZ or whatever the university is, to have the minimum standard and competence to judge your skills and all, a professional examination is being proposed. This is there world over, whether it is US, UK, Singapore, whatever the country is. Scale of fees. Presently, architects do not have right to recover the fees like advocates. It is given in the Advocates Act that you have right to recover your fees, but it is not there in the Architects Act. So this is one of the proposed amendments where we are adding in the Act that architects do have exclusive right to practice architecture and right to recover fees. Then about the registration of firms of architects, it is being proposed that the firms of architects be also registered by the council and LLP. So to ensure that only architects are there in those firms and they follow the norms and standards and the code of ethics which are prescribed by the council. To regulate the practice by foreign architects and foreign firms, some amendments are also proposed about them. They should first seek approval from the council, and they should submit to the regulations code of conduct which has been prescribed by the council. That then only they should be allowed to practice architecture. What happened today? The field is open. Anyone can practice without calling himself or herself as an architect. So there has to be some restrictions. If we go abroad, even registered architects are required to collaborate with local architects. They are not given freedom to independently practice architecture. So these are the important amendments which the Bhalla Committee recognized and recommended to central government in the year 2015. In 2021, the council, recognizing the urgent need to amend the act after this Mukesh Goel judgment of Supreme Court, they recommended that no person other than a registered architect or a firm of architects shall use the title and style of architect and practice the profession of architect, including signing of building plans and related documents required for statutory approvals for the construction of any building and its related infrastructure. These are the amendments which we have given to the Ministry of Education, Government of India in the year 2021. And we have been pursuing with them to please do it. They are saying we are receiving some objections from the engineers and other bodies. Why are you restricting only to architects? So we are pursuing with them. Even we have written some for 2-3 days back to the Honorable Prime Minister that these amendments are very important. These are required to protect the profession of architecture, because nowadays the enrollment in the architecture field itself is going down looking after this judgment. So this judgment of Supreme Court is having far-reaching implications. It is affecting the profession. So this is my conclusion. Only an architect can use the title and style of architect to practice the profession of an architect in India, holds a professional competence and accountability for designing and planning of human habitat, can be appointed to architectural posts in government departments or private sector, or as a core faculty member in architectural institutions all over India. The Architects Act required amendment to provide exclusive rights to architects to carry on the profession of architecture, allowing architects to practice through LLPs and other modes where the liability of architects, the financial liability, not the criminal or other liability, the financial liability is restricted. Like we are also proposing indemnity insurance where you are protected from huge liabilities in case any mishap happens, and to deal with other related issues like enhancing the penalty for violation of the act. Currently it is 500 rupees. So anyone would violate and pay 500 rupees and he will go away. So we are saying there has to be some deterrent amount where the person fears, oh, the 5 lakh rupees, so it means something. So 500 rupees in the act, the penalty is nothing. This I am quoting Swami Vivekananda ji, arise, awake and stop until the goal is achieved. So we all have to work towards the amendment in the act. Till that is done, it will be our we have to work for it. Act was first initiated in the parliament in the year 1948, and it came after 24 years in the 1972. So we have to again work together, we have to again write representation and request the government that act is amended so that architectural profession, the general public and everyone is benefited. Thank you so much. This is all. Thank you. I thank you all for, especially the Manipur Architects Forum, for inviting me here, and whatever the knowledge information I have, I could share with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Deepak Kumar. I think some very fun.
If any queries, I'll answer from here or whatever the way it is convenient.
Please be there because you're nearer to the mic.
Okay.
I think some very fundamental issues have been raised about the profession of architects. No, please sit down. Please sit down. Later on, yes. You can't just. Yeah. Very fundamental issues. Just, I'm not a lawyer, nor am I an architect, but I had given a hint, which has been confirmed by Mr. Deepak. That is, how are we treating our profession of architects? Are we giving them the type of freedoms deserving of constructing not only buildings but aesthetic structures which can stay forever, like the history of architecture, isn't it? Now, what I strongly feel is that architects of India have to get together and see to it that something is done to this act. That brings me to the issue on the issue of Manipur and how we can reflect on this. That is, why non-architects? You see, in Manipur, non-architects are flowering like anything. Let me tell you, when I built my house, in 2001 or something, isn't it good? I mean, there were only a few architects who built a few houses. Benji was one of the bright boys then, Imphal Classic, and a few doctors' houses. I mean, these were iconic buildings where, including me, had to go and watch and see how it is so that my own house would reflect something of what I'm saying is that organized architecture or architects' work in Manipur is very, very at the infant stage, so that even architects firms are finding it very hard to survive. It is exactly the place where, without proper regulations backed by the government, non-architects are going to take charge. In fact, they have taken charge of building houses and all sorts of structures in Manipur, which is very bad. Then, so the issue is, I think all of us have to reflect on what is the government doing? Who does the government employ as architects? If you look at all the government buildings, it's a shame, as was said by Anna, isn't it? It doesn't have character. It doesn't. In fact, most of the buildings built are by governments in Manipur. Private buildings have started just now. So when a government even builds a toilet complex, it needs an architect. What you have is, anybody and every a draftsman also becomes an architect. That's the situation we have. So what should the government do to enforce on itself? He was talking of how, municipal governments or others, I mean, they cannot ask for, who the architect should be employed and all that. Council of Architects is responsible. You don't need to ask them to register again and all that. The fact is that all government and non-government offices believe that, architect is anybody. That's the main issue over there. Then, the issue is then, what is the role of Manipur Architects Forum? Just as any other forum all over the world, including Council of Architecture India. I think we need advocacy from this Manipur Architects Forum so that architects are involved in buildings. See that? If you do not advocate that you need architects, if public are not made aware that you need architects, otherwise you're going to regret it after 2 years, 3 years of building your house. That sort of an advocacy is not coming from the architects fraternity, which has been, helped further by the government, in building its buildings, are not engaging architects as they should be engaged. Then the issue of building permissions, the way to make Manipur this Manipur Architects Forum, or even in India, it's a small, this a case study which you can spread all over India, is when you are giving building permissions, isn't it? That's where we can, impose rules and regulations whereby it will become compulsory or incumbent on any builders, on any private or public builders, to build the right type of houses with the right type of regulations, right type of aesthetics and all that, isn't it? That is one. And then the last, ethics of architects. He was talking of issues of fees, isn't it? Why have we not rationalized fees in Manipur? We cannot, isn't it? A situation where it has arisen here, where budding architects have to run after clients, 10,000 to 20,000 thrown at you, and you just give a drawing finished. You have no other responsibility except dispatching this drawing to him. One go, no follow-up. What can you expect, isn't it? To such an extent that today, more literate people, who have the internet at their hands, they are browsing to the internet, looking at building plans and making their houses on their own. This is the pathetic situation where Manipur, Architects Forum has to regulate yourselves. You have to get together, frame your own rules so that you don't allow unscrupulous people, who just give a drawing and finished. You get 10, 20,000 rupees, isn't it? That's 90% of how the short of architecture that is going on. So these are issues that you need to address in light of the powers, functions, and ethical issues that has been raised by Deepak. So I open this house to to give your opinions and reflect not only in the legalities and all those things, but at our own province in Manipur, so that he, being an administrative officer of this Architects Council of Architects, can carry with him a good example of how architecture and architects have not, except in urban areas. In most rural areas, nobody cares, but we need to have architects in even the remotest part of the world. We have to dream for that. So we have to build a vision for that. So thank you, and please feel free and ask questions, give opinions, but keep it short and focused. Thank you, and please, it's open. Please address him. I'm not the expert. Please address him.
I question say Mr. Deepak Kumar the address of the Ozadawin Tawzage.
I'm not the expert.
No. I mean, I want to react to certain what you call observations which you have just now mentioned. Role of an architect. When say when enforce the godin in Haina hybrid, this 10% chum me but we are also in a very helpless situation because in Hajid building bylaws systems enforced out the Maram na signature has a mandatory or it is a big setback community that the Aduna Hajiki Poto bylaws enforced obviously is very important because bylaws defines your working parameter. Aduna Sigi Posidi Taugadoni, whether the bylaw is correct or not, that is a different issue which can be discussed upon at a later stage. But implementation of bylaws is a very important thing. Adu Lerekan the parameters defined Tautun Haziribako. Hoji the state house Infal City, the Maro in a Taurimiam, see building typology, the density, the concentration, the Lambi, the everything is in a situation. Nothing is in order. To be very frank, nothing is in order. I think the correction to the Changi Haziribako, Adiki Potu, Hogi planning prerogative se kadom the period trust se kamai period adu lakton habi issue duna mu koi on a different forum discussed with the bam di chang bra in khali but
Hajki have his views. What he's saying is that you see I hinted to all of them that you as a community have to take responsibilities. You have to come out and advocate. Now what he's saying is that no, it's all right now. What he's saying is that, look, sir, it's the government which doesn't, make its laws functional. See that? So we don't have control over this. So, your opinion, since you have all India level this thing, what we have been doing is that laws are there, people don't follow the rules. That's why I raised the issue of when the government itself does not follow your building rules. When the government itself doesn't follow the rules, public will not follow the rules. Okay, right. That is given. And I'm sure the issue of building laws not being followed is true in everywhere in India. That's why the building mafia is there. That's why the politicians are hand in glove with them, isn't it? So let's take it as a constant. What I'm saying is, let that not deter you from being morally correct and ethical in building your building. Don't leave the responsibility to the government. What I'm saying is, Architects Forum or Council of Architects, we have a responsibility on our part also. True. Isn't it? So what is your opinion on that?
Sir, awareness about architecture and sensitization about the function of an architect and role an architect plays in the lives of general public or the government buildings is the first function, first step which needs to be there. The Architects Act itself was introduced as a private member bill. It was not introduced by the government. Late Mr. Pillu Modi, architect Pillu Modi, he introduced as a private member bill. And after so much years of pursuance, this act was enacted. So we all architects have to work with our own efforts and all. Government will not come. Even the government it's a complex of representatives of the people. So we have to pursue with the representatives of the people, our MLAs, MPs. We have to sensitize them, sir, this is where your intervention is required. We have to say what are the benefits, what are the drawbacks, where the government is losing public money. We are wasting public money by not hiring architects. So this is how sensitization is first thing, sir, and amendment in the act, and wherever we can do, the council is doing, and we need support and efforts from all, so that because it is the person who's affected that only can seek medicine for himself or herself. We are also an arm of government. So architects have to come forward saying these are the amendments, these are the laws which we need. And the world over such laws are there, why not in India? So this is what I would say.
No, issue is, look, now we are going to have online, permissions going to be granted. When it becomes online, you will not be able to do any harassment, right? Up to now, it's the town planning or whatever government agencies, right, giving the permission to build buildings. And we just, the architects themselves, even in my case, in order to we bypass all laws, bylaws, so it has become a system whereby you submit your housing plan. It would be all informed, but when you actually build it, it's according to your convenience. This fraud has been going on up to now. So, is it not your responsibility as architects? Is it not my responsibility as a citizen building a house to ourselves follow the rules, right? So if you architects do not follow the rules, encourage the people, just send in this thing, clear it so that you can make a bank loan. I mean, so I'm just putting forward a moral issue to which you and me are all responsible, isn't it? So Architects Forum needs to come out, advocacy, educate the people in different ways. Holding a meeting here, let this spread to the rest of this thing. I think you go to anywhere who are following the rules, even in Chandigarh. Are you following the space between two houses? Exceptions are being made. I don't know, advocacy. So please, any other questions?
And even, sir, Regularization of and condonation of illegal construction. That is, if our building bylaw says there will not be any regularization, there will not be any condonation of illegal construction, no illegal construction would happen. It would fall like the Twin Towers in Noida. If such steps are taken, because where the clause is there, it will be regularized or the illegal construction would be condoned after payment of some money, all builders and all feel I'll pay the money and get the illegal construction done. So these are the things which are affecting the profession.
But the situation in Nepal right now is like we have to have a very conducive environment to build right. And I'm questioning that environment.
Whose responsibility is it to correct that environment? That's the fundamental question we must ask ourselves.
That is true. We should be playing a fair amount of what you call responsibility for that. But also, like as I said, you just now mentioned that online building permission system is going to be implemented soon. That's a very good move. We all appreciate it. But in ground reality, see, last 2 weeks back we were also discussing about minimum areas of what you call plot, which are, what should I say, not in a very proper order. I mean, some plots which has been deemed to be recognized by the government as a minimum plot area, it may not be possible to kind of do a house project on such a piece of land. So issues like that are there. So what I'm saying is a very conducive environment is required to do good practice.
I'm sure Deepak will answer to that also. I don't know, he's a lawyer, but let me answer it from a common man's view. Okay, and let me answer it from observing worldwide phenomenon of how beautiful cities are built, except for Chandigarh. You see that any city over time, you're talking of the small space, kya karega? The history is that, you see, in building new buildings, okay, outside Greater Imphal, when you're going to spread, it is there that strict laws have to be followed. Imphal will get costlier and costlier and costlier, so that like in any other cities, big world cities, unplanned, but it becomes planned later on. When there is development, when there are multi-million or billion investors who are going to buy, land in Imphal, and very, people are going to move out, isn't it? It will become residential houses are not going to get away. So it is when that city is restructured, the old city, some change may come there, not all changes. But my point is, as a layman, when you observe, it's only when the new buildings are being made, stricter and very, very strict laws have to be put in so that the architects as a profession can shine and flower.
Like how is this happening in Guwahati right now?
Size of like plots one can really not control, because it depends on the economics and the financial capacity of a buyer. The government has to think of all. If a person is having this much of capacity, he will purchase that plot, larger plot, other larger plots. So really, there can be no interference from the architect side or from the council side and all that. You have only this size of plots or that size of plot.
No, but logically, when you build a house, you should be having a minimum recognizable area with a recognized width. Only then you can build a house. Like for instance, if I ask you whether you can build a house on a 20 by 40 square feet of area, how would you answer to that?
Sir, off target, sir, and depends. I'm saying if there is an existing construction, a person having meager resources, he would be happy having in 10 by 10 plot also. It depends the financial capacity, but really we can't do anything with this.
Let us come back to target now, as Gita has said. Yeah, I think today's discussion should be at the macro level rather than at the micro level. It's a matter of policies. It's a matter of your profession, how to protect your titles, which simply means we have to be better architects, very simply put, isn't it? So given these legal challenges, how can we function as a group of professionals so that we contribute to the state's development, isn't it? That's the main idea. So please, other opinions.
We have to create our demand by showing our works, because showing our best works, showing that this is the difference in the work of an architect and non-architect. This is how we can attract people that yes, I have to go to an architect to have a good, beautiful, aesthetic and planned building. We have to create the demand for ourselves.
In simple terms, when we say protection of title and style, let us not take it literally. You don't want any other people to work in this area. We don't want civil engineers to be constructing or planning or conceiving about building designs. That's a minor issue. Major issue is protection of title, means what is meant by an architect, what are the do's and don'ts that we must do, what are the ethical issues involved, and you have a social responsibility. That is the advocacy that I'm talking about. So let us go at the bigger level. Protecting the title means if I'm titled as a professor, I have to act, do things becoming of a professor. So what can we do to protect our title? Let us not go at the literary thing. Let us go at the legal, ethical, and practice issues. Right?
Yes.
Have you, ma'am, please? Yeah.
Hello, sir. My name is Architect Eva Rajkumari. So when we talk about protection of title, I have some queries. There are certain government and non-government organizations. They invite for competitions and tenders. So when there are specifications like we only invite registered architects, and then if these organizations, they take up non-registered architects or interior designers or any other line, is it like authentic, or can we file a case against them?
This is totally a violation of the Architects Act. When we are inviting an architect, or we are saying only registered architects are invited for this project, that means only registered architects are eligible to participate for the particular project. And if they select, or if they consider the applications, the requests, the proposals, the tenders of other people, this is totally illegal.
And what is the process we can file against them?
One is that you file a writ petition in the High Court. First is to make representation before the concerned authority that what you are doing is violation of the Architects Act, which the Act defines an architect as a person who is registered with the Council of Architecture, and the person which you have selected or which you are scrutinizing is not an architect. So this is a violation of the Act. Please mend your ways. We are architects, or you can say who is an architect. These are the architects available. They can approach council to seek list of architect, whatever other help they want. But not that when you are saying we are inviting only architects and we are selecting somebody else. So this is a violation of the Act. You can bring such incidences to the notice of Council of Architecture. We will also interfere there. We will write to such organizations, please stop this. This is illegal. This is not as per the norms. And if such person who is selected, he is representing himself or herself as an architect, we can write to that person. We can also prosecute such people. If they are not architects and they are participating as an architect, that is also an offense, punishable offense.
Sir, another question. So when we talk about professional ethics, there are certain professions other than architects who define themselves as architect in social media, or when they introduce themselves, or any other platform. Is there any act against them, or can we?
Misrepresenting anywhere in India by a person who is not registered as an architect is a punishable offense, whether it is on website, social media, anywhere. The law says that no person shall use the title and style of architect or misrepresent himself as an architect unless he is registered as an architect with the Council of Architecture. So if you find any person who is misusing, misrepresenting, and he is not an architect, please do point out to Council of Architecture. We will take up with them. We will stop them, or we will prosecute them.
Thank you, sir.
So sir, I'm Michael, architect Michael. So can you please elaborate regarding the this one penalty to those who practice architecture without being registered as an architect?
Yeah, penalty in my earlier presentation also said it is only 500 rupees. So
Any imprisonment thing?
Yeah. If a person repeats, then 6 months imprisonment is there.
Okay, 6 months imprisonment.
6 months imprisonment is there. There are two sections which provides penalty. One is section 36, which says that no person shall misrepresent himself or herself as an architect or use such words or letters which suggest that person is registered as an architect. If he does so, he is punishable with a fine of rupees 500, and if he repeats, then it is 1000 rupees with imprisonment for 6 months. So this penalty part is quite less compared to other provisions, because unless the penalty and deterrent provision is there, more stringent deterrent provisions are there, the people will violate. Because just by spending 500 rupees, they earn lakhs of rupees.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Deepak. My name is Architect Rosen. The presentation which you have shown, it was very informative. So and second, there is one question I would like to raise. What can be done from our fraternity, architect fraternity and general public, that the architecture can be only for architects?
Yeah, we have to pursue the government. Here in case of architects, it is central government, not the state government. So we all have to pursue the Honorable Prime Minister, our Honorable Education Minister. We are under Ministry of Education, Government of India. So the Education Ministry itself has to get convinced, yes, the profession needs to be protected. Other people have to be stopped from practicing architecture. So public opinion, a mass opinion has to be created that yes, the architecture profession has to be practiced only by architects, not by other people. Other people are bringing disrepute to this profession, though they are not titling themselves architect, but they are bringing bad buildings, they are bringing bad names to the architects, because general common man understands every person who is engaging designing, planning, that he is an architect, but they are not. So the public will has to be created for bringing a prohibition on architectural services by a person who is not an architect. So this is all. So we have to work towards, we have to send representation to the parliamentarians, to the Honorable Prime Minister, to the Education Minister. Okay, please bring such amendments which already recommended by Council of Architecture. You have to just support the Council's initiative. It doesn't look that it is Council of Architecture doing it. It is the demand of the profession. It is today's need that the architectural services are restricted only to architects, like medicine, chartered accountant, company secretaries, everywhere the profession is defined. The work, what is medicine, what is chartered accountancy, what is company secretary, what their role, it is defined in the act. In our act, it is not defined, it is left open. Because at that time, architects were not there. Maybe 700 or 1000 architects were there in the year 1972. And we have given our recommendations, but the government, because the number of other civil engineers, others is more, and architects is still less. So their objections do come, no, please don't restrict it only to architects. So we have to create a public opinion that yes, architectural services should be done only by architect, because they are accountable, because they have the training, they have the competence, and if an architect does anything, he can be barred for life. If a civil engineer or if a draftsman does some mistake, he will only pay some penalty, but he will not be barred for life. But in case of architect, he is professionally accountable. The Council of Architecture can bar him forever. So these are all things which architects, as a body, we have to bring to the notice of the government, because it is a public will for which a law is made. We have to point out that this is an evil, and to cure this evil, a law is required.
Does the population or the number of architects in India, does it mean something to move the process, like?
Yeah, already we have to just show. We have to just show the amendments which I have just shown. The proposal we have already. It is already before the government. So we have to write mails. We have to write representation to the government. Okay, yes, this proposal is given by Council of Architecture. Why government is not acting on that? The government should act because it is in public interest. It is for the betterment of general public, for their building, their construction. It is for common men, not for architects. We have to say these amendments which are proposed, they are for the betterment of common men, because they will get a qualified and competent person who will design their house. So this is all. We have to create a public opinion and pressurize our representatives who make the law that yes, please, this is an urgent matter where your attention is required. You bring the bill to amend the Architects Act so that architectural services are restricted only to architects.
Okay, up to some point, as per Architects Act, it is already written the style of architect. So as per my perspective, I think that style of architecture doesn't mean that we are fashion designer or designing something. It's clearly mentioned that the person who architecture, style of architecture means style of architect means
the way of
yeah,
carrying the
yeah,
profession,
yeah,
way
yeah,
of
yeah.
carrying the profession. We argued this before the Honorable Supreme Court. I was personally present when this matter was being argued, and the Attorney General who argued against this, he said ki presently the number of architects are very less. If I say only architects will design, where there will be no construction in villages, there will be no construction in small towns and all. Well, he took some other sentimental view, drawn the attention of the court, instead of saying what the law says, what the requirement there, or what are the international laws are there. He says, my lord, if you impose a complete prohibition on practice of architecture by upholding that only an architect will practice, then all buildings in India will come to an halt. This is the view Attorney General of India gave before the Honorable Supreme Court. So this, because judges and whatever the view they take, but we have to come to give a comparison. It is there in medicine, it is there in law, it is there in company secretaries, it is there in chartered accountants. Why it is not there for architects? The number will increase according to the demand. If demand is there, definitely people come join the architecture profession.
I think you have raised a very fundamental question which your Council of Architecture needs to take into account. I just realize now why the Supreme Court, in such a labored way, isn't it? Very labored, very hard to convince me. But in a very labored way, it tried to say that your profession is not like these doctors or this thing. In a very labored way. The argument was that you involved so many other experts, right from the draftsmen to engineers to electricity, internal designers, so many people, It raised some issues, which are not convincing, but true to so many extent. But he's raising so this raises a main issue of organization. When he's saying that we are too few, when the Supreme Court says or government says they're too few. So we need advocacy also. We need to organize ourselves on trade union terms, but which we are not being able to do because of our small numbers. But yet, so the issue is the second part which we have neglected. Architect and architectural firm. In Manipur, architectural firms have come up, died. Come up, died, isn't it? GIT is trying to revive it, some sort of a firm. In a firm, you will have that critical mass of experts, draftsmen, interior design, whatever, isn't it? Then people will have faith in that firm. But what we are now having in Manipur, or as he hints in all of India, is freelance architects, individual architects who cannot, instill public confidence that you alone can do justice to my house. So we have certain organizational problems. That's why probably being a common man, but feeling the pulse, I now, put to him this fundamental question. How do we organize ourselves as architects so that this issue of advocacy only one person cannot do unless we have a, So the issue of architects alone working, freelancers, architectural firms. I believe, I don't know, in anywhere in the world where big architectural things are going to be done, it will be firms. Can we have rules and laws by which architectural firms are encouraged to work better on bigger projects and so on? You cannot neglect these individual freelancers, but the issue of architectural firms in the rest of the world, freelancing architects, I hope you understand the issue, please.
The scale of firms can be like we are recommending that we have LLPs. So partnership firm, there is a limitation that you have only a small number of partners, but we are recommending that we have LLPs, where limited liability partnership, where the number is more. In other parts of world, even companies are allowed to practice architecture. They allow corporate practice. But we are saying if we have corporate practice, the small architects, they may not be able to get the work. So we are only recommending that we have LLPs. And as regards how do we organize ourselves, though we are having like Manipur Architects Forum is there, let us work with Council of Architecture. We all together can work. IA, Indian Institute of Architects, is also there. So we can collaborate with them so that our joint efforts, our voice, one voice is there to work for our rights and to get relief from the government.
Hello. My name is Gautam, Morantham Gautam. I would like to ask you if you can throw some light on the ethics of our conduct of our profession. What are the ethical issues and what are the... Yeah. I believe it must be there in the manual. Yeah. However, I haven't read it, so thank you. That's all.
Of Section 22 of the Architects Act, we have prescribed the Code of Conduct and Ethics for Architects. I'll read out what are the ethics for architects. To ensure that his professional activities do not conflict with his general responsibility to contribute to the quality of environment and future welfare of the society. Apply his skill to the creative, responsible and economic development of his country. Provide professional services of a high standard to the best of his ability. If in private practice, inform his client of the conditions of engagement and scale of charges and agree that these conditions shall be the basis of the appointment. These have been elaborated now, which is the manual which we have prepared. Here the detailed guidelines about the contracts, about the fees, how to calculate the fees, these are all given. The Government of India, Ministry of Finance has prescribed general financial rules for selection of architects. So this manual is in line with those guidelines. Then another is not subcommission to another architect or architects the work for which he has been commissioned without prior agreement of his client. Not give or take discounts, commissions, gift or other inducements for introduction of clients or work. Act with fairness and impartiality when administering a building contract. Maintain a high standard of integrity. Promote the advancement of architecture, standards of architectural education, research, training and practice. Conduct himself in a manner which is not derogatory to his professional character, nor likely to lessen the confidence of public in the profession, nor bring architects into disrepute. Compete fairly with other architects. Most of the complaints which we received is on this clause only. Because an architect gets a project for X fees and other architects comes and he works for X minus 1 or X minus 5. So here the most complaints which Council of Architecture receives. The earlier architect says the new architect has taken up the project without my NOC, without payment of my fees. So most of the complaints which Council of Architecture receives on this account. Next is observe and uphold the Council's condition of engagement and scale of charges. This manual is conditions of engagement and a scale of charges. So please do go by the manual, please do read it, go through it. Not supplant or attempt to supplant another architect. Not prepare designs in competition with other architects for a client without payment or for a reduced fee. Not attempt to obtain, offer to undertake or accept a commission for which he knows another architect has been selected or employed until he has evidence that the selection, employment or agreement has been terminated and the other architect is given his fees. Comply with the architectural competition guidelines of the Council. When working in other countries, observe the requirements of code of conduct applicable to the place where he is working. Not have a partner in his firm who is disqualified from registration by reason of the fact that his name has been removed from the register of architect under section 29 or 30. 29 name is removed when a person gives false documents or something. Section 30 is when a person is punished. An architect who has been punished by the council. So an architect should not have that person as his partner. Provide their employees with suitable working environment, compensate them fairly and facilitate their professional development, recognize and respect professional contribution of his employees, provide their associates with suitable working environment, compensate them fairly and facilitate their professional development. So there's a whole list is there. These are available on our website. and they are also given in manual also, it is there. And in manual we have added some more. There are some proposed professional ethics are also there in the manual, which are yet to be incorporated in the main part, which is gazetted part.
I think at least I would personally request you to address one issue on the matter of ethics, that is the issue of intellectual property rights, especially on trademarks and copyrights. In Manipur, anywhere you will see that each architect's creativity in design or style is repeatedly being stolen and replicated. So please say something on that. This is a very vital issue of ethics.
What happens, sir? Actually, as per law, as per the Copyright Act, the author, the person who designs, he is the owner of the design. But in the government projects everywhere, or we do not write such clause in our agreements. So an architect should understand the contract act as very well. The contract has to be drafted very well to understand that the designs and drawings prepared by him or her shall be his. It cannot be used by some other architect or some other client, or by the client itself for some other project. So the contract which you enter with the client should be, in the manual we have given, there are 3 types of contract. One is concise, then second is standard, third is comprehensive. So all clauses have been incorporated in the manual. We have given template in the manual. This is how you should enter into a contract, wherein we are also given hints that copyright, you will write that copyright is of the architect only. How the client can use it for construction of building, for education and research, and it has to be reproduced. Then it has to be done with the permission of the architect only. So copyright, architects must, with their agreement, they must write that copyright vests with the author, that is the architect, and it cannot be used by any other person, the drawings.
Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Dhanajit. As mentioned in the Act itself, through the definition of the architect, so it says that anybody who gets registered with the Council of Architecture can be called as architects. But I would like to question is that what are the various qualification other than the degree that those who can register under the COA?
Under the Architects Act, there is a schedule of qualification, list of recognized qualification. One is the degree imparted by a central or a state university, and others are some diplomas given by so-and-so XYZ institutions, and there is a membership of Indian Institute of Architects. This is Indian. In foreign also, there are degrees given by the foreign authorities. There's a whole list which is there under the Architects Act. So mostly, and the main is degree. A degree in architecture, bachelor's degree in architecture.
In the real life scenario in Manipur here, the state government is favoring and awarding many of the government projects to a particular self-styled agency. How do we go about it?
Sir, agency means, is it a company, is it a firm, is it an LLP, what is the entity? Agency means
they
what?
They call themselves as architects, but they are not.
So, you have to come forward, file a complaint. It is who will bail the cat. So somebody has to take the blame on him, or become the target, but he will be doing it for the betterment of profession.
Right now, sir.
Either the forum will take it. If it is forum, that is better, because no individual come to the light, and
So-
the forum can definitely file a complaint. And first of, I am saying you bring it to the notice of Council of Architecture, where you all are safe. You do not come to the light, or no prejudices happen against the concerned person who's making the complaint.
Right, sir.
All such instances, please bring to the notice of Council of Architecture. It is my wing, my department only, that who's taking of all such complaints and writing to all concerned authorities, issuing them legal notices. And finally, if things do not work, we go for prosecution.
So I am the first rate who will build a cat.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It is, you are doing for the betterment of profession and for the enforcement of the Architects Act.
Yeah, but I think you have to bail the minister also. You see, and you're a very, very good minister. I tell you, he's a no-nonsense minister. He was very, just tell him, why should any fly-by-night architectural firm or a pseudo firm capture everything? So please bail the minister. I tell you, he'll help you. Please. We have quite some time more. Please. We have 20 more minutes. Let's.
Hello. Sir, myself, Bumiras Kaisam. Actually, my question is there any action which council can take up against the person who is an architect, but he is working under some company who is not registered as an architect, and he's doing all the signature for that firm. So is there any action without going to the High Court or Supreme Court, directly action taken by the council? So is there is the process? Tell us the process.
I understood your question. What happened? This matter about architects working under a company is a sub judice. There is already a judgment. One architect from Delhi, architect Sudhir Bora, he filed a case in Delhi High Court against about 1,000 companies which have been registered by either architects, non-architects, but they are all practicing architecture. The High Court said that these companies cannot call them architects, and like other people, non-architects, they can practice architecture. It is the self-regulation. It is our self-regulation that we don't go for such companies, but it is a matter of livelihood also that unless we go there, where we earn. So it is a catch-20 situation ki how we will work, but companies cannot themselves title as architects. It is only the individual or the partnership firm. This matter, there is an appeal. The High Court said that companies can practice architecture. We have filed an appeal before the division bench saying they cannot practice. A legal entity cannot call itself as an architect. They cannot solicit business. So how the High Court can held that the practice of architecture can be done by companies? But now the Supreme Court judgment, another judgment which came in between, that is affecting the case. We may lose that case. This is what, because the Supreme Court says that anybody can practice architecture provided he doesn't title himself or herself as an architect. So the amendment in the Act, Architects Act, is the need of the hour, and for that we all have to work. We have to create a voice, one voice, that yes, please amend the Act. This is affecting not only the architects, it is affecting the general public, because under the guise of architecture, everybody is becoming an architect, and they are playing with the general public, their buildings, their expectations.
Sir, like if we can't take action against the firm, so like can we take action against those architects who are signing the documents?
See, taking action against architects will only affect architects. So question is, now the High Court itself is saying, yes, companies can practice, so we can't take any action. So until and unless the matter is decided, companies can't practice. So we will write one letter if the judgment comes to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India. Please wind up all such companies which are practicing, whose aims and objectives is to practice architecture. But unless the law becomes clear, whether they will practice or not practice. So this law is in limbo right now, because our appeal is pending before the division bench of Delhi High Court. We have challenged, yes, this judgment of single judge is not correct, where they are allowing companies to practice as architects. So as of now, the law is not clear on this subject. But definitely we all architects, we are only, one of us will only work in the company, so we can advise them, we can guide them. You form your own company and give your consultancy, not as an employee but as a consultant.
Hi everyone, I am Yaifaba. Sir, I would like to ask you, just clarify one thing, that in your presentation you had mentioned that for our profession we don't have anything that guarantees our collection of fees, service fees. Collecting of service fees is a big thing, I mean big hassle here. So what I want to know is, like if we sign the contract, with the help of the contract, can we legally at least be sure of, so I think using the contract it should be a good, practice that should be done by everyone then.
Yes, if there is a clause in your contract, then contract is enforceable. We can bring a suit for recovering the fees. It is called specific suit for recovering the fees. But your contract must clearly lay down. It is not what normally architects are doing. Is one friend engaged him, or through friend you get introduced to XYZ, and you even don't have an agreement with the person. You were given some X token amount, and afterwards you are working, and when the project is going to complete, the other person says bye-bye, I don't require your services. So contract is the first thing. We advocates first get signed the wakalatnama from the client and then take his or her file. Without that, no work. So this should be there. This should be the practice of architects. You first get signed a contract with your client that these are your duties, these are my duties, these services or these documents you will provide, like ownership documents, the land requirements, or there is no dispute, nothing else, because tomorrow the neighbors also come against architects. He has trespassed into my plots. A lot of complaints are such complaints where the neighbors are complaining against architects, where they have no locus trying to complain against the architect because he was engaged by other person, not by the neighbor. So the contract should be such that we define the duties, liabilities, the functions of architect, the deliverables which an architect will give. Deliverables are also very important. These are the drawings which I will give as part of my duties. If you want additional, you have to pay this much of fees. Yeah, in the manual it is there. This manual, like, it's actually guiding you, giving you all important documents. This manual is there, even how to raise your bill. That specimen bill is also there, where you will put your stamp. That is also, we tried that it is from a layman's angle, a person who just comes out after passing his BH course, how he will run his practice. We try to guide in such a manner. It is there.
Afternoon, sir. This is Tilisha Konsam. I have a question regarding your amendment 2015 regarding certificate of practice. So what does it really mean? And also, for example, for a registered architect who has not been practicing architecture for the last, say, 4-5 years due to various reasons, does it mean that it's the end road for them and legally? So can you please elaborate on this? Thank you.
This is only a proposal. What we are planning is, you first get self-registered as an architect, and only those who intend to practice architecture. But one, like Madam Anna, she's in civil services, so she may not require the practice certificate of practice, but she can use the word architect. So the difference between using the title architect and actually practicing the profession. When we are saying certificate of practice, we are going to introduce that you must undertake such and such or such number of projects, such number of workshops, such number of trainings in order to get your registration renewed. That is missing in our act. It is there world over. They do not give license or renew a license unless, like doctors, it is there. You must undergo some workshops, some trainings, some projects. Like for the past 5 years or 10 years, if you have not done a single project and you are coming for renewal, they won't do it. They'll say you work with some architect for some period, then you come. So as of now, this certificate of practice is only a proposal. It is not that as if we have done it. It is only a just a proposal.
So what stage is it in right now?
Basically, we have given this proposal to the government, but we have this another single amendment which we are saying only architects should be given the powers to give certified building plans and all. That is the most urgent provision to tackle the Supreme Court judgment which we have given to the government. And those are the comprehensive amendments, because an act amendment takes so much of time. It is referred to the Parliamentary Standing Committee, the public views and suggestions are asked. So we are saying if a single clause is amended first, this section 37, where it only restricts the title and style, and if it restricts the people from submitting building plans to the municipal corporation, to the development authorities, we are saying you restrict this work only to architects. Instead of saying architecture as a whole, we are saying restrict the submission of building plans and all related services to an architect. So this will in a way restrict other people from submitting their building plans. Nobody will go to a non-architect and then go to architect just for getting his building approved from the concerned local authority.
And so regarding this, can we make a soft sort of a humble request that I personally know a lot of architects who practice for a while and then due to various reasons, personal reasons or other sort of reasons, that they stopped for a few years, but then they want to come back. But again, if you're doing this 2015 amendment, it'll be a little hindrance for them. So can you soften some sort of...
As of now, they can do. As of now, there is no bar because the act is not amended. It is only a proposal. As of now, there is nothing. As of now, anybody whatsoever, the current existing law says ki renewal, whosoever pays the 600 rupees to the council, his registration will get renewed. But this is a proposal. This proposal is there in the developed world. they are already functioning like this. You have to have practice architecture. You must know the current practices, current laws. If you are not in practice for 5 years, 2 years, 3 years, then at least you must work with an architect who will, at least you are in touch with the profession. So that then only the license is renewed. But as of now, there is no proposal. As of now, an architect who, the registration is open to all who possess the recognized qualification and payment of fees. So is the case with renewal. You can get it renewed. Renewal is annual and it is also one time. Like it is, you don't have to pay the fees again. Only just your certificate will be endorsed after 10 years.
So, here. Actually, I think the people must have brought this situation up. Actually, our moderator, sir, he had also mentioned that we as a professional should uphold our ethics and our standards. But what happens is, see, since the council gives certifications, registers new architects, young architects who just passed out from their college, who has a degree, they are given the certificate as well, which is good because even I benefit from it. But the thing is, what we all know, that what is taught in the colleges versus what is actually being practiced is a very big difference. So since it is a technical service, I mean, it is basically these knowledges are earned through experiences, or you earn it under an expert. I mean, are there several queries like this, like what can be done to kind of, it's not that I don't want them to grow, it is just that they need guidance for them to mature and be able to actually. Otherwise what happens is, when they go around, when these young bloods, they go around looking for work, they sometimes kind of get they are not able to deliver the expected, they might damage the name of the architect, instead of, while because they will be making mistakes. There is, even I made mistakes, I mean, but luckily I was working under my father. So likewise, I think there should be, I mean, is there a concern from the other states as such? Because that's I'm quite curious.
The professional examination which I was talking, it is there world over. What they do after completion of your qualification, you have to undergo, in US it is 2 years, in UK it is 1 year, and in India it is only as part of course curriculum, like 6 months training is there, where something is taught. You have some hand-on exposure to what is being handled by architects. So what we are proposing is that after completion of your graduation degree, you undergo 1 year of practice and then appear for professional examination. And the professional examination will not be judging what you have already been taught in your degree course and all. It will judge you on your professional liabilities, responsibilities, some environment laws, building bylaws, and the universal thing which an architect should know while practicing in India. So that proposal will take care of all these issues. Council is fully aware, yes, this is happening. And what happening is, those non-architects, what they are misusing the young architects, they get their signed on payment of petty amounts and use their drawings and their name to practice architecture. This problem, we are fully live to this. And basically it is the attention of the government. The way once we could convince the government, yes, this is the problem in the society, this is a problem which is affecting the profession of architecture, this is a problem which needs to be addressed immediately, then all things will get cured. And already there are 2 committees. One is the Bhalla committee of the government, and another is even the parliamentary standing committee. They said, yes, we need to make law, we have to amend the Architects Act immediately, but somehow our current government, I don't know when they'll take up, but we keep on pursuing the government, yes, these are the laws which we required. We were trying to have MRAs with foreign countries like Singapore, Australia and others. They were also saying, in our country we need professional examination, it is not there in India. Their number is less and our number is more lakhs, so they are afraid, we can't have MOU with you because you have lakhs of architects and you don't have such a standards which we maintain. So these are problems which need to be addressed immediately, so that we have a comparable standards and our architects move internationally also.
Hello, sir. Excuse me. Hello, sir. Excuse me. Taking the advantage of you coming here, thankful to you. Like we have sent a letter regarding the violation of architect, selection of non-architects as in the post of some assistant architect. Yeah. So can you please tell us what are the process been done and anything needed to be done from our forum side or from the council? So can you please tell us the
Yeah, we have written to the government that the person appointed by you is not an architect and the post is of architect. We have also enclosed the copies of judgment to them. And again, we'll be pursuing, please remove the person from the post of architect. If at all nothing happens, then prosecution is the last weapon we have. Similar was the case in Odisha where a person was appointed in the housing board as deputy chief architect, whereas he was an engineer. So just coming before here, we have issued a legal notice and given judgments, ki sir, please remove him. Given copy to the chief secretary of the state and the chairman of the housing board, ki please remove him, because he's not qualified and competent, and this is clearly in violation of the Architects Act. So we have to be actually aware what is happening, vigilant. Yes, some non-architect is appointed to the architectural post, this is violation of our rights. We are the only qualified and eligible person to get appointed, whether X, Y or Z, but only an architect.
So how do we know that after your instructions, have they taken any actions or anything?
What I suggest is the forum can interact instead of individual on this issue, because it should not happen that we are acting in hand in glove or something like with some individual. The forum can write to the council what action has happened or what has happened. Otherwise, you will otherwise come to know that this action has happened. To prosecute somebody will pass a resolution from the full council. Resolution is there, and the matter is brought before the metropolitan magistrate. Even that is an issue, because some courts say you have to go to the jurisdiction of the accused everywhere. So that is quite difficult for council, like to come to Manipur, to Gujarat, to where. So we have convinced now a judge saying like CBI, ED and other agencies, we can also file cases in Delhi. Let the accused come to the jurisdiction of Council of Architecture, to the Delhi, and this is how we will prosecute them.
So like if we send our this one query, if there is no reply from them, so okay, so council will deal with that.
Yes, definitely.
Okay then. Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have 3 more minutes. So the last question, I mean, I give you the privilege for that. Before.
The first is regarding this registration with each and every local body in India. You said that it's not required, but every local body is taking registration fees. How do we go about it in the state?
Sir, bring this to the notice of the council again. The central government Ministry of Education has written 3 letters. There are judgments of also there. The architect is not required to get himself also registered with local bodies. The registration with the Council of Architecture is sufficient. So any violation of the act, any problem you feel that this needs to be addressed, please bring it to the notice of Council of Architecture, and we will take up such issues with them. Now
they don't call it registration fees.
Yeah, they call it online impediment or something. They have introduced new concepts. It is happening in Bangalore. Well, everywhere in the name of online system, they are asking 50,000. In Rajasthan, they are asking 50,000, 20,000 rupees registration fees. They are saying it is since the online building approval system has come. So now it is not registration as an architect. It is only for online building approval. So we have to basically question everything, that as per the act we are not required to get registration, but for online, if they are asking some petty amount like 100 rupees, 500 rupees, which is administrative charge just to get impaneled, so that your drawing, they know who is the architect here, or they may be creating a master data where they know who are the local architects available for sanctioning. Well, we have to we are also developing, I think we have already developed a API wherein local bodies can check who is an architect, who is not, online from our website. Recently, very soon we will share that data, that link with all the local bodies, that you can verify the architects from our website instead of you maintaining a list or any implement or anything.
So this happens everywhere despite of this thing. Then another question is, there are many public agencies engaging non-architectural firms for architectural works. How do we tackle that?
So as I earlier said, you please object to them. If they don't buzz, then we will file complaints against such things. The requirement should be that this work is advertised only for architects, and the selection is done with person
No, but
who's.
they don't mention it architectural firm. They call it designer firms.
Yeah, that is actually, sir, lacuna because the architectural services, which includes designing, planning, and everything. So unless the word architect is there, we can really stop that organization, that department that you have only intended to engage architects, and now you are engaging non-architects. Unless the law specifically prohibits, the act is amended to prohibit non-architects from practicing architecture. Design consultant, because of Supreme Court judgment, the recent judgment, it has created a vacuum that anyone can practice architecture and all. So we are on it, but until and unless that is done, that will have to bear with that. Because once the eligibility is there, architect, and then they appoint a non-architect, then it is questionable, 100% questionable, and we will question it.
So until and unless they mention the word architects, we cannot do anything. So I think we must be very clear on these lines.
I am open to any more questions.
So when we say anybody can practice architecture, so what do you define practice as? Is it just the execution or even the approval of the drawing, architectural drawings? And if it's not, then up to what extent can we question the non-architects for professional ethics?
A practice of architecture, actually it is not statutorily defined in the Architects Act what includes the practice of architecture. So basically practice as an architect by an architect is the need of the hour. And really we can't say this is ethics, and this is not part of any ethics. If a non-architect is giving any services as an architect, it is the client who is suffering. There is no prohibition on the practice of architecture. There is no definition of what is architectural services. Until and unless we define architectural services like audit services, medicine, what is medicine, practice of medicine, this is there given in the act. And in the legal profession, they have said that no person can appear before the courts unless he is registered as an architect. They have not defined the legal profession, because by defining we restrict the meaning, the definition, the services. So by not defining, so something has to be done for defining architectural services, that we define. We give a definition that it includes, when we say not an exhaustive definition which covers, we say it includes designing, planning of spaces and whatever all submission of building plans before this. We are doing it, but somehow this is not happening. We have to work more hard for this, and Act amendment is what the council is working on very hard.
So I think we should close up this session. I have only 1 or 2 words to say to sum up the thing. In India, the profession of architects is yet to mature because of the smallness of the market. We are such a big country, but the market of architects is smaller. Coming down to Manipur also, our market is even smaller. But the future market is so huge. So it's for us architects to create that market. For that, you have to be ethical. You have to know your business, your profession. And the last thing is that we need to get organized and advocate. Only when Manipur Architects Forum advocates architects' need, then only your this market will expand. You have to carry the government with you. You have to convince the government and enforce. Architects Forum of Manipur has to enforce the rules that government itself makes, so that your market as architects is expanded. This is one. Number 2, any architect or any profession has to adjust to the local context, especially the value systems. In the Northeast, we are Southeast Asia. We have a value system where we don't follow formal rules so much as other parts of the West. We follow informal route, this contracts. So when Yaifaba was questioning his difficulties of getting fees, you see, our culture is such that if you are a doctor, or if doctors are a different lot, they will have their fees put up on the wall. But for architectures, I mean, it becomes unethical from the people's value point that you start bargaining on money before you start talking about architecture or building the house. But this cannot last long, isn't it, Jaifaber? I mean, you can sign contracts with some big boys, with big builders, isn't it? But it's very hard for you, to sign contracts before you actually begin the work. This is the cultural context. Benju was one of the exceptions, He had the temerity or the courage to say to one of my university friends, Professor, you've got a high level of pay. You are not ready to pay me 50,000 rupees for my work. Please. You see, you need to put down your feet. And of course, to be able to do that, to impose institutional parameters in a very informal society like Southeast Asia or Northeastern region, you have to do something as a profession to enforce these rules, isn't it? You cannot carry on doing informal work, Your client, you almost feel like begging to them for your fees. That is why firms are getting out. So you need to get more organized. The last point is the issue of architectural firms. Unless you have functioning, vibrant, and moral architectural firms big enough, where even young people like him, Jaifab, or any other young boy can have his apprenticeship, can cut his teeth, isn't it? Then only you will become freelancers who public trust. We need these architectural firms to emerge. And I think it is in the responsibility of senior architects like Ega, Joy, Gate, including Buddhaviri, you or Bikram, you people have the responsibility to organize our architects so that your market is expanded, so that you carry the government with you, isn't it? And so that as a profession, you adjust to the local context so that India Council of Architecture of India's own laws are enforced here. With this, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. On my part, this conference is closed. I leave the rest to the organizers. Thank you so much.
In the end, I would like to also say thanks to the Manipur Architects Forum, Geet Kumar sir, Benju sir, Krishan Kumar sir. Thank you so much for inviting me and having such a good interaction and dialogue with all of you. Thank you so much.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank our moderator, Dr. C.H. Priyaranjan Singh, for such a smooth session and also for filling in the gaps in between. Also, I would like to thank our key speaker, Shri Deepak Kumar, Administrative Officer, Council of Architecture, India. Now, this concludes our today's program. Before we leave for the sumptuous lunch which is waiting for us, I request everyone to kindly join us up front in an organized manner so that we can commemorate this moment with a group photograph. I request everyone to head outside. Sorry, the space is a little small here. And also thank you everyone for joining us today again. Thank you.